Hey there, race fans. This is Cooper. We're going to do another commentary this week. Seems like folks enjoyed that the last time around, so we're gonna give it another shot. All right. So we just started off. You know, one thing, it was a lot different this week. It's a new course from the previous time around. So I'd been warned from a couple of folks that it was going to be much tougher course and it's going to be a lot faster. I was excited because it was a little bit more exciting course. I mean, you can look up there in the top right corner, you can tell that the map there, it's a lot more interesting. It's not just a a NASCAR course like the last one we did. Actually, the last two we did. So this was my fifth crit. I was excited to get back out and give it one last shot for the year. This will be my last crit because my daughter starts soccer next week, and I will be tied up helping coach her soccer team for the rest of the year on Thursdays. Another thing that's changed this week is due to the time changes. The organizers had to start combining some of the races so that they could fit in all the categories throughout the evening before the sun goes down. So they basically combined the 3-4 race and the 4-5 race, and now there is just the 3-4-5 race. Honestly, I was not anticipating that the pace was going to be as much higher than it turned out to be. So I don't, basically a combination of the change in the course and the addition of the Cat 3s turned this into pretty fast, and as you'll see here, did me in pretty quickly. So as you see, we just finished up one lap here. We're coming up here on the start. We just rolled through the finish. Can't say, it is pretty neat. Lots of curves and things to keep the ride interesting on this course. A little bit of wet on the pavement as well. There was some passing showers earlier that day. So as you can see through that whole first lap, it's pretty chaotic. The field is pretty strung out. My average lap power over there, you look over there, it was 250 for the first lap. The second lap's coming down to 250 as well. With so much curves and turns and what have you, it makes finding and holding a slipstream very difficult. Not to mention the fact that just the pace is much faster as well. Right there in front of me, you can see Brandon and Benjamin's right in front of him. A couple of buddies that I've kind of met through racing out at the Crit Series. Brandon will go on to do quite well today. I can't remember exactly how he placed, but considering he's a pretty new racer, and to come into this, a Cat 3-4-5 crit, place close to the top 10 is pretty impressive, especially considering the pace here. You can see, even going through that turn, you'll see later on. I mean, we're pulling 30 miles an hour through that turn and accelerating out of it up this little bit of an incline into the corkscrew climb right up here. It's hammering, and 2 laps in here, I've been maxed out the whole way so far. I mean, we're only 4 minutes or so in. There's been no break whatsoever, and the entire field is strung out like this has been for the whole time. One thing interesting to point out, I mean, they capped this race at 75 racers and say it sells out every week. So you'll see towards the end, I end up dropping out before too long, and I actually filmed the finish. And when I go back and look at the filmed finish, there's only 31 finishers out of 75 starters. So if that tells you anything about how they're just completely ripping the field apart, not letting up whatsoever, and hammering like nobody's business. So you can see this guy right here, even he's starting to fade back, and so I get around him, no problem. Try to get in and catch a draft, able to, trying to make up a little space. I mean, you don't have much time to make a move, and it doesn't give you a whole lot of time to stay steady. Again, you look down, we're going through this turn at 30 plus miles an hour and accelerating out of the backside. Again, I'm pulling another lap at 240 watts, which for me, my power numbers, I mean, my threshold power is only around 215. So that's what I anticipate to be able to, you know, be able to sustain for a long period of time. I'm well over my threshold. You know, essentially no chance whatsoever of me being able to hang in, putting out this kind of effort. Surprisingly enough, I actually feel okay right here. I mean, I guess it's just because it's, you know, you're still so short into the race. I'm still just trying to kind of scrap and find a draft. There's just not much to be had. And at the same time, you know, at this point, I'm not thinking that I'm going to have to drop it all. You know, when I'm in the race, I'm not looking down at my power numbers or anything to know, you know, how much effort I'm putting out. You know, I'm just kind of going on feel. And so, I mean, I didn't realize that, you know, I was really, for me, again, you know, talking about me only, that I was putting out that kind of effort. You know, my plan is still just to, you know, to try to keep moving up, find, you know, keep in the draft and keep going. You know, this being the fourth time through, at this point I've kind of caught on just how short the space is between that little drop and where to the turn there. So I kind of start trying to play it safe and you know, rather than trying to make up a couple of spots, just kind of finding a place to settle in. And again, come out of that turn and people aren't playing around. You know, they start accelerating out of the turn again and then back into the little steep section here. I'm drop a couple of other people that are starting to fade off. Shift down, try to keep my cadence high. And still, and I feel it when I come out of that climb. I'm like, I'm in trouble, and people are starting to come around, but I'm still thinking, oh, I'll make sure and play it safe and grab a draft and get some recovery, or at least that's the thinking anyway. So that's what I attempt to do. Really, that straight section is the only bit of recovery you get on this course. Other than that, it's just you're going hard the whole time. Whereas, you know, the last time I was out here, you know, average lap power was, you know, like in the 180s, I'm wanting to say, and here in, you know, the fifth lap, which I actually end up dropping off before I cross the finish here. For the fifth lap, you know, I'm still up at you know, 190 plus. Heart rate is pegged out, has been pegged out the entire race. I mean, my max heart rate is normally like 178, and I've been up, you know, up above 180 plus for a while. And even though I don't, still at this point, I know things are rough, but I'm still thinking that I'm okay, and then I'm going to be all right. And hear a guy kind of saying back there, you know, close the gap, feeling that maybe I'm holding people up. I kind of pull off a little, let the folks around, but then, you know, still go into this turn carrying a lot of speed. Pretty fun, you know, going through those turns that fast and coming in and trying to accelerate out of the backside of that turn. You know, once these guys start really blasting by me here, I know that that's pretty much game over for me. And the last little bit happens whenever I make this crest the hill here. And you can see, you know, if you've been watching, there are people popped off to the side, left and right. I mean, and that's just the way this race ends up going the whole way. I mean, with an attrition of over, you know, 60% of the field. I don't know, you know, it definitely for me was very discouraging. And you know, even in the other races when I had been dropped, I still felt like I had an enjoyable experience. This one, I felt like I was just scrambling, trying to survive, you know, holding on with, you know, by my nails for all I could. And there was no chance. I mean, it wasn't going to happen. Even though I had been feeling stronger as of late than I had in any of the other crits, even more comfortable in the pack. It was a little discouraging, and especially this being my last crit race of the year. I had really hoped for something to be a little more interesting, obviously. But in the end, you live and you learn. You know, late in the season like this, and they combine the Cat 3s. Everybody's fast, and there was just no chance. I mean, I was completely outgunned from the start line. I don't know that I could have done anything differently and been able to stick around in this group. I would have had to have just been a lot stronger rider to be able to make it through with this race. But anyway, so I mean, you know, I give up the ghost here, and everybody's ridden off at this point. I kind of just say, well, I guess it's time to this one guy. We ride together for a couple of laps. So I just say, well, I guess I'm going to work on, you know, I'll work on drafting off of this guy, work on my lot, you know, taking the turns, as well as just putting out his, trying to do a little time trial for myself, I guess, just to see what I can put out before they pull me from the course. So me and this guy have been kind of playing leapfrog for the last couple of laps, and I feel like I've recovered a little. So hey, I make a move and I attack and I drop him. So that was my move. That was it right there. That's what I've got for this race is two off the back dropped old guys. And we've been battling it out for the last couple of laps, and finally decided to go with it. So interestingly enough, you're going to see the leader and eventual winner of the race. Here he comes around me, way ahead of the pack. You know, this guy basically blew the rest of the field out of the water. He won by like 45 seconds. He was off the front for, I don't know if it was the whole race, because obviously I wasn't near the front to know, but he was off the front for a long time. That much is for certain. Here the rest of the field is finally catching up with me, almost a full lap. Well, it's at least 3/4 of a lap around from where the leader passed me. Kind of catch myself where I don't want to go into that turn in front of all the field, so I almost come to a stop, wait for them all to go by before I get back on coming up on some more stragglers, more fresh meat, take them out. Coming through the finish here is when I get pulled, so it's pretty much game over. Race is done. I can't say that this one was super enjoyable. It was a learning experience again, but I was definitely disappointed and a bit discouraged. I was completely blown up on this one. Oh well, it is what it is. We'll come back and give it another go next year. On the other side of things, I do have some mountain bike races coming up here very soon. I got a race next weekend I'm looking forward to. Hopefully I'll be able to put something nice together for that one. Set up the camera to catch the final guys come through. The leaders already came through, timed it. He was like 45 seconds ahead of everybody else. And here comes the rest of the group. And again, I'll remind you, there were 75 starters for this race.